guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel. We are going today to talk about something a little bit different than my normal like health, fitness, faith, marriage, mom stuff. But I wanted to share my journey with getting veneers. Okay, so little backstory. I actually really liked my smile beforehand. There wasn't anything necessarily wrong with my teeth, aesthetically wise. But when I was in 3rd grade, I fell off my bike and knocked out like the bottom half of my 2 front teeth. So I'd had these temporary bondings on ever since I was 9 years old. And those are not supposed to really last for forever. So when I went to see my new dentist here, he was kind of shocked that 20 years later, I still had those temporary bondings in. And he was like, all right, it's time to get a permanent fix here. So he basically said you can replace your front 2 teeth that you knocked out, permanent porcelain crowns, but they are going to look very perfect and different than your surrounding teeth. So he said you can get veneers kind of on the couple of surrounding teeth so that they match and all look the same. And that is ultimately what I decided to do so that my smile would all match. I did have like a little bit of discoloring on some of my teeth, but again, it kind of all looked like it went together. So it didn't really bother me that much at the time, but now I'm super, super thankful that I went ahead and did all of them. So the front 2 that I got done are porcelain crowns, and then I have 3 on each side that are porcelain veneers. Here's kind of the process that I went through to get it done. The first appointment that I went to was like supposed to be 15 minutes, but I ended up asking so many questions. I think I was there for like an hour, a consultation. So he kind of went over, here's what the appointment's gonna look like, here's what the steps will be. And I got to ask a bunch of questions and kind of tell him what I was hoping for. So that was the first appointment, was just a consult to kind of go over everything, go over pricing and any questions that I had. The second appointment that I had was the prepping the teeth. This was the one I was most afraid of because it is a very permanent decision. Like, you cannot go back once you get your teeth done. Like, they are shaving off part of your actual teeth and you cannot get bone back. So I went in, they numbed me, like so much numbing on the top. First they did a topical numbing gel so that when they did the shots, it actually didn't hurt as much. And this was the most painful part of the entire process, was just getting the shots for the anesthesia injections. And so I got those all across the top. My lip looked like I had gotten massive fillers in it, and all the way up like to my nose was numb. But again, this was the most painful part. From here on out, it really was not painful, which was something again that I was afraid of. And I looked at other people's YouTube videos of their experience. Did they experience pain? And again, I did not have pain other than getting these shots. It took a long time, but they prepped all of the teeth. They kind of just like, I don't know, use their tools and shave off the front of them. The front 2 that I was getting crowns on, they have to do a lot more prepping of the tooth, and they basically like shave, gosh, kind of all the way around, and took a good amount off of that tooth because the crown goes all the way around your tooth, whereas the veneer just kind of goes on like a fingernail would, goes on the front. So they prepped all my teeth, then I got a break and he let me go to the bathroom, and he was like, do not look in the mirror when you go to the bathroom because it'll be freaky. And I could feel with my tongue like how my front teeth were basically just little stubs at that point. So I didn't look in the mirror. I went back and they put on temporaries, which are just like, I think acrylic or maybe plastic, very fragile. They're not meant to stay on for very long. They're literally just temporaries. The temporaries did not look very good. And he said, don't judge your veneers based on what the temporaries, they just made them in the office. They're not supposed to last for forever. They're not, supposed to look fabulous. So I knew that going into it. My temporaries looked fine, and I just had those on for 2 weeks. They also, once my teeth were prepped, they took impressions of my now prepped teeth that they were gonna send to a lab to get my actual veneers made. Other than getting the shots, this was probably the worst part, just having them do those impressions. You just kind of feel like you're gagging on the gel stuff that they use. But it's the same thing as if they were to take impressions for a retainer or something like that. I just really don't like having those done. But again, if those are the worst 2 parts, it's not that bad. So my last appointment that I went back, again, I went in, first thing, they numbed me up again, and then they took off the temporaries. So he kind of just like put a little pick in there and like pull them off again, kind of like you would a fake fingernail. You just like get something under there and then flick it off. And then the front one, he just kind of wiggled it. The front one was all one piece. So my 2 front teeth were one little chunk. He just kind of wiggled it and it popped right off. And I was like, oh my gosh, I am so glad this did not come off before I got here, or I would have been horrified seeing my teeth underneath. So he did that. He kind of cleaned up the little bit of leftover, and then he got the veneers ready to put on. I was like laying way back in the chair. He put them, just kind of like set them on my teeth and gave me a mirror to look at. And I got to see essentially what it was basically gonna look like. And that was sort of my opportunity. If I didn't like one of them, or for some reason like didn't give it the thumbs up, that's kind of your chance to say like, I wanna change something here before they cement on the veneers. So I loved it. Even just like getting to see that little glimpse of it, and they then one by one cemented them on. This was a really tedious process. My jaw was starting to get a little bit sore at this point. But yeah, no pain. It just kind of takes a while for them to like really meticulously put each tooth on. He did do the crowns first to cover up those little stumps. And then he did the side ones after that. I think all in all that took maybe 3 hours for the prepping appointment where I got the temporaries, and for my final appointment. Those were each like 3 hours long. And then I walked out of there with my veneers. So 2 of the other things that a lot of people were asking about was 1, pain, and 2, how much did it cost? So with pain, like I said, you guys, honestly, there was not any pain for me. The only pain that I had was getting the shots, and then the next day, I was kind of sore where they had like injected the shots. It just felt like a bruise though. Like my teeth weren't sore. There was no pain during the actual like procedure. There was no pain taking the temporaries off. It was really pain-free. He said I could take Advil in the time being that I had the temporaries on. I took Advil the first day, again, just for the injection sites, and then I never took it again. I was totally fine. Cost-wise, it sort of depends where you live and what dentist you go to. My front 2 teeth were not just a cosmetic thing, they were like a medically necessary, so my insurance covered about half of those, and then the other ones were considered cosmetic, so you pay out of pocket for that. And they can usually range anywhere from like $800 to, gosh, if you live somewhere more expensive, maybe like $1,200 per tooth. And so again, it kind of just depends where you live, but on average, I would say it's probably like $1,000 a tooth. You can usually set up like a payment plan so you don't have to pay all at once at your dentist, and kind of figure out what's in your budget. I was very nervous thinking about doing this. I thought a lot about it. I asked my parents about it. I asked a lot of people about it. I YouTubed and Googled and Instagrammed the heck out of it to see before and after, do I actually want to do this? I was really scared because it is a permanent decision. Like, you are doing this for life if you do it. And the only thing I'll say is I am so glad I did it. So glad I did it. I love my veneers. They look very natural. They feel natural. I'm so grateful that I did it, and I love my smile. I'm super grateful. So if you are thinking about getting veneers, feel free to ask me questions. I'm happy to answer them. And again, it was a great decision for me. I am super grateful that I did it, and I hope this helps you deciding on your journey as well.